All right. Hey, everybody. For those of you that are not at these a lot, I just need you to raise your hand if you'd like to be on camera. That will make you a panelist, and that way we can just have people on camera and microphone. If you want to ask a question on camera and microphone, you will need to raise your hand. I feel like I have to repeat that a lot, but anyway, if you could also use the Q&A chat function, if you don't want to be on camera or mic, but I will add you all right now. Thank you.
Some usual suspects in here.
Hey, Jen.
Hi. I'm just as excited for Adam's call as you guys are.
I know. I'm so looking forward to this. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. You're having fun. I keep watching you on Instagram. You're having a blast, girl.
Thank you. Well, that's why I honestly it's what I wrote in my caption. It's why I work out. I have friends that are pretty cool in adventure stuff. They said, "Do you want to go rafting in the South Fork of the American River?" I'm like, "Well, I'm an
Sure.
average swimmer. I'll go." Because I know I'm strong. I'm like, I'll figure it out. So thank you. Yeah, it was really, really, really fun.
It looked like a blast. Yeah. It looked
Thank
pretty
you.
fun. Did you capsize at all?
Not me, but I was on the kids' boat, the really big one that it was impossible to capsize on. They're like, you're gonna go in that one. Yeah.
And
That's like
sorry,
being
guys.
behind the kids' table at Thanksgiving.
Go ahead. Go ahead,
Sorry,
Noah.
no, don't mean to interrupt. If you
Hmm.
decline to be a panelist, you will not be on camera and microphone. I just want to make that really clear. So when it says I'm promoting you to panelist, that only means that you're going to be on camera and microphone. You don't have to talk if you don't want to. I
It's
just want
worth repeating, Noah. Yeah, it's just a great way for us coaches to see your faces, and you can turn your camera off, but at least you have the chance to say hi or let us see you or actually verbally ask your question. And if that doesn't interest you, that's fine. We have as Noah said, the Q&A function on the side. Oh, it's so good to see everybody. Everybody's looking pretty fit this morning. This whole pump
True.
club works,
Oh
huh?
yeah.
Look at Ben.
Ben, we'd like a motivational something out of you, please, sir.
Happy
Aha,
birthday,
you
Ben.
see. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Well,
See,
he's
I
wearing
thought you
his
might do this to
Iron
me
Maiden
again.
shirt. I
Yep.
love it.
I brought it today. I thought just in case, no one needed reminding. It's not all Oasis and tea over here. Some of us drink coffee.
That's right. Hardcore.
Motivation. I have some motivation for you. Consider where you were. Consider where you were at the beginning of all of this and think that where you're going, that's a great mountain. It's a great mountain to climb, but you must climb it because at the top is everything you want.
Mm.
And sometimes on that path, it's going to feel like it's a long way away. But you need to remember how much you wanted to be up there, to be where you are right now. You need to
Mm.
remember to turn around, look back at the valley below and think, wow, I was there. Now I'm here. If I keep going, I'm going to be up there next time. That's how winning is done. That's how we achieve things. Just don't
Mm.
stop. It doesn't matter in any individual circumstance how you're feeling today. All that matters is you show up, you do what you can, and you will get to your mountain peak. I promise you. There's no
Amen,
stopping
brother.
you.
Amen.
Hey,
That's
see,
I
great.
think
that's
I think that's a good Zoom call. We can call it
Yeah, I
quits.
was
I
gonna
was
say,
gonna
I think
say
let's
we
wrap.
whoa,
just
Ben, don't
replaced
let
We're
them do
done.
this
everybody.
to you. Don't let them do it to you. See, on my Zoom calls, Ben's the motivational speaker, so we
Happy
let him
birthday, Ben.
always.
Thank you,
Oh,
Daniel. I
and it's your
appreciate it.
birthday.
Yesterday.
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 Happy birthday,
Yesterday.
Uh,
Ben.
I
mine's on
appreciate you guys.
Sunday,
Thank
Ben,
you.
so we're sharing this whole week together.
Oh, happy
It's a
birthday,
good
Jen.
month. Happy
Noah,
We're good.
go
birthday.
go cut everything that Ben just said and put it on Instagram also.
Yeah.
Hey, Ben, do
Um,
you consent to me doing that? I have to ask.
Do you know what? Yes, of course I do. Please.
Okay, good. All right.
Ketchel, I think we know what we need to send Arnold for next Monday's motivation.
Yes, I agree.
We love you,
If
Ben.
you
Thanks for
don't
that.
want to learn
I
how
love
to
you
get yourself
guys.
into succeeding.
Thank you, guys. Thanks everybody for being here. This is a big launch for us. It's taken a year to build, so we wanted to invite anyone to join us and ask questions, because this will be something that we will put in the app as a recording so that anyone who's confused can use it. And it will also help us write some frequently asked questions. And most importantly, it will help all of you guys use this tracker successfully. Adam, if you're good, I want to start with one of the most common questions, and I'll just ask it on behalf of the tons of comments.
Let's do it. I'm always good.
I think by far one of the most common questions we're seeing is, how do I decide my goal? And I'll give the bad cop version of this, and then let Adam give the science around recomposition. The bad cop answer to how should I choose my goal is, for 98% of the people, I think your goal is going to be to lose fat.
Yeah.
I think no one is going to be unhappy when they get lean enough to see their abs. No one. No matter how light you get in that process, like Adam said to me when I was doing my 40th birthday challenge, and I got a little bit of bigorexia going as my weight dropped into the 150s. And I said, I can't be someone who weighs under 160 pounds. And Adam said, the fastest way to look like you gain 10 pounds of muscle is to lose 10 pounds of fat. And he was right. I did not look tiny when I finished that challenge. So for most people, if you're saying, and Adam, I'll give you a couple of examples to hit. Some people have said they're skinny fat, which I totally get. I was skinny fat in the governor's office. What should their goal be?
Are we just going to do one example at a time?
Yes.
For Ketchel's very non-scientific answer, you give a very scientific 98% of all people are probably.
Arnold taught me to make up statistics.
I know it's an incredibly powerful tool. So I want to give a little bit of a preamble to goal setting here, and then we can get into all the nuance of making sense of this. And the overarching theme, which I even put in there, right? Much like fitness is a journey, right? Arnold calls the gym his lab. Nutrition, eating, it is also your lab. The way we created this, and I'll talk about all the different ways that we're going to continue to modify it. I'll even mention right now a big modification that will come, right, is the ability to be a little bit more agnostic about your diet, right? We created a very balanced approach to eating. There's a place for protein, there's a place for carb, there's a place for fat. After the first 2-week break-in period, there's a place for alcohol or dessert or whatever it might be. And we'll talk about that first 2 weeks also coming up here. The ability for you to choose the foods that you love and that you enjoy and find a way to eat healthy without losing your mind is the backbone of all of this, right? And now some of you might want to go lower carb. Some of you might want to go higher fat. And there will without a doubt be the capability to do that. This is right, the baseline formula that allows us to get the most feedback for you to use the tool, and then for us to continue to modify the tool so that it become more and more personalized. Now, as far as goal setting is going, I won't go as hard as Ketchel on the like if you can't see your abs, simply because that's not everyone's goal, right? I will say that when people set their goal, right, we create in our mind this illusion of what weight we will be happy at. And the key word there is not happy or weight, it's illusion, right? The weight that you will feel best at is the weight where you actually feel and function and perform the best. And that number, oftentimes, I have found, I'm coming up on 25 years of coaching, guys. It dawned on me this morning when I was writing this, right? Is that I don't know, maybe on the like kind of like one or two hands, and like when people create this weight they want, it's usually not what they're looking for, right? They're looking for a feeling that they associate with the weight. So there's a perfect example of some of the questions saying, I want to, I can't remember the exact, I think it was like they want to weigh 70 kilograms. They're 67 kilograms right now. but they've got extra body fat, they feel skinny fat, but I've got they right. And if it was like a one-on-one conversation, like what is with this number, 70 kilograms? But to me, it's like, what it sounds like to me, abs or no abs, is like you want to be leaner. And if you want to be leaner, your goal should be fat loss. Now, the rate of fat loss is going to be very much dependent on the aggressiveness that you take. When we did Ketchell's 40th birthday, approach, like most Ketchell goals until his 40th birthday, I would say from Ketchell's 40th birthday on, he has become the best version of himself because he is the most consistent, the most dedicated, the least crazy insane, texting me at 4 a.m. I want to get shredded for my 40th birthday and I want to deadlift 600 pounds and I want to, climb a mountain at the same time. Like just always incredibly short goals. So the rate of weight loss was faster because like we were marching to a very, very specific goal at a very superficial timeline. Ketchell was turning 40. He could have achieved that goal at any time. And now Ketch probably looks better, performs better, feels better than he ever has without having these like super aggressive goals because, right, he's expanded that timeline. He said, I'm not going to play this game where I'm creating this like superficial time limit and I'm marching towards one. It's what Ben talked about at the top of the call, right? You've got that mountaintop. If you're like on the mountain, why do you have to get up the mountain tomorrow? Let's assume you have food. Let's assume you have water. Let's assume you have shelter, which I'm hoping all of us have in general, right? The speed with which we move is irrelevant as long as we get to the top, right? So when you see these goals, the majority of people will want to focus on fat loss because the majority of people want to move better, they want to feel better, they want to aesthetically look leaner, whether or not you see your abs. And that's the big misconception of recomp. Because even in that message that I was referencing, when someone says they're 67 kilograms right now, they want to weigh 70 kilograms, right? This idea is like, well, I want to focus on recomp. Recomp does not mean you're gaining weight. Recomp means that you are shifting your ratio of body fat to lean muscle, right? And the perfect example being, and I'm going to need Ketchell for head math because I don't do head math. I do that's why we don't count calories here, right? But let's say you are 200 pounds, right? And you are 20% body fat. That means you have 160 pounds of lean mass and 40 pounds of fat. Am I correct, Ketchell? I see him shaking his head. Thank God. His head math is incredible. And I'm giving him easy numbers, right? Now, if you recomp, right, and you stay at 200 pounds and you are suddenly at 15% body fat, you should now be at 170 pounds of lean mass and 30 pounds of body fat. So your scale has not moved at all, but you gained 10 pounds of muscle. You lost 10 pounds of fat, and the scale shows the same thing. And in some cases, that recomp, the body weight might go down because that is completely normal. And your right, the ratio of fat to muscle shifts. So recomp is not dependent on body weight. And this is why people can gain muscle and lose fat at the same time. Now, the rate at which you can do this completely depends upon how lean you are to start. The leaner you are, the harder recomp becomes, right? How many training years you have, the more advanced you are in training, the slower muscle gains. Like people who've been in this game for a while, like if you've been training 20 plus years and you put on like Jen flexing, I'm like, God damn, I need long sleeves. This is why I don't wear t-shirts, guys. I got Jen around with the gun show over here. Right. And Jen looks phenomenal. Jen's my age, right? A little bit older technically, but we won't talk about that. Same age, just like a month difference. You know, when we look at what we're trying to achieve, when we're, the amount of time you've been doing this, the progress gets slower. And you know what? Most people will tell you they don't care because they've fallen in love with the progress. It becomes a part of who they are. That like the obsession of like, did I gain 1 pound in a year, which is what you might get. And when you've been training for 20 pounds, that might sound insane, but like all of the benefits and the enjoyment and the passion and the purpose behind what you're doing to take care of yourself and right have that deeper why. That's why we have people set their vision and set their why. That matters more than a superficial number. So this is why, right, the preamble to all of this and why Ketchell's, despite his statistic maybe being slightly off, um, is that the majority of people will be better served by losing weight because what they're trying to do is move better, feel better, and really they're trying to get a better grasp of their exercise habits and their nutrition habits. And your weight and your body fat is a proxy and a reflection of that, right? If you are eating well consistently, if you are exercising well consistently, your body changes, your body weight changes, right? Your aesthetic look changes, the way you move, the way you feel, the amount of aches and pains you have, the sleep that you have, the positivity you're able to bring into the room. It all shifts. And if you're not there, that is usually the reflection that something is off, which will lead into the next thing. And I'll allow Ketchell to continue to prompt. There's a reason we do this first 2 weeks, right? And there's a bug. When you join along like the free meal, it's supposed to say for the first 2 weeks, there's no free meal. We don't want you having liquid beverages. And like there's a bug that we didn't catch that we're supposed to prompt. This is just a 2 week thing because everyone here knows, right? You can't screw this up. Book plug. Everyone, we are not about restriction. We are not about extremes. But again, 25 years doing this, we are blind to things. I remember when I worked with Ketch, and Ketch is like great, and he was like, oh my God, I can't believe how much oil I'm putting in all of my cooking. And Ketch just changing the amount of oil he cooked with changed the way the man looked completely because he was just right doing what we all do, right? You get that, I'm gonna cut, how's it going? Oh, great dude. Oh, it doesn't really matter, right? Have a thing of olive oil, 1,000 calories later. And those little things, these 2 weeks, this isn't about being strict. These 2 weeks is not about like if your birthday falls during the first 2 weeks, please, for the love of all that is holy, eat the fucking cake. Enjoy it. Have your
I
birthday.
did.
You'll guys, my wife hasn't like seen me much lately. School just started
Don't
back
worry,
up.
Ben.
And yesterday, eat the cake, Ben. She texted me. She's like, "Can we just go and like have like a parent dinner tonight and like go out and like have some drinks?" And it was like 4:30. I still have like not to do like the newsletter for tomorrow. I haven't done anything. I'm like way behind, and I'm like, no. But she's like, this is my wife saying like we need to go and do something. So we went out. It was the first day. Like I'm tracking my foods, and she wants to get drinks, and I'm like, I remember texting Ketchup like, well, there fucking goes I'm getting the red X because I'm having some alcohol, right? So the idea of the first 2 weeks is to create visibility into your habits and behaviors because you're going to notice, oh wow, I didn't realize I was having 6 lattes a day. Oh wow, I didn't realize it. Like I love milk. Milk's great. But I was drinking 4 cups of whole milk a day, right? And that is, I could tell you, it's like 700 calories, but like we're not focused on the calories. Like I'm taking in so much because a lot of times, like, oh, it's just my weekend habits, or like, oh, I really shouldn't have had that like extra like slice of pie. But it's the little things. It's all the cooking oils used. It's the sneaky fats. It's the fact that like you eat all of the food that your children don't finish. It's the fact that like after 8 o'clock, you suddenly get amnesia and forget everything that you ate in the 3 hours before you went to bed, which happened to be a full day worth of meal. The first 2 weeks is your truth serum. It is a chance, it is a confessional to sit alone with yourself where no one else sees this thing, right? No one sees it, and you can say, how am I eating? What am I doing? It's not, no, I can't have liquid beverages. It's not, no, that I can't have a free meal. It's like, if I truly want to succeed, I need to be honest with myself. And if I'm going to be honest with myself, I need this space where I'm saying for 2 weeks, I'm going to give myself a snapshot, a clear, honest, fully accountable snapshot of what I am eating. And then when we get beyond that, when the freedom is in there, you are now fully aware of all the different habits and behaviors and blind spots that have probably been holding you back that either you were completely, right, not dialed or tuned into, or you were and you kind of ignored it and you came up with other excuses. This just puts it in front of you and gives you no other choice but to say, is the pain of changing this greater than the pain of changing me? And that's why we created this. And then everything that we have going on from there is going to make it allow you more personalized so that if like you want more carbs in your diet and less fat, if you want more fat in your diet and less carbs, if you want more of a balanced approach, if you want to just follow the FUBAR plan, right? We do this, but like this plan was designed because the majority of people want to eat a balanced approach, right? The majority of people want to be able to choose what types of foods they do or don't want, right? Irrespective of allergies and everything. And in this tracker will get you, and it will adjust because each 2 weeks we're going to do a check-in and we'll look at your compliance and we'll look at your results. And then we'll make a recommendation. And if at a certain period of time you're not getting results, we'll change the plan. The plan will adjust to you. And when you start making results again, we're not going to get aggressive, because then we want to ride that wave, right? You might make one change and then like you go 6 weeks and you just keep on losing or you keep on gaining and you're like, man, I feel like I should be doing more. And I'm like, no. It's like, do less, right? There's a scene in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, which I'll butcher, where like they're trying to like go surfing, right? And Paul Rudd's like, do less, do nothing, right? And that's sometimes what it is with dieting. You make that one change and you see progress, and then people are like, oh, I got to cut more carbs. I got to cut. No. That like backs you into a corner. The idea is to change as little as possible and create as much change. And then when you stop, make additional changes. And that's why we make the adjustments for you, right? That's why we wait 2 weeks. That's why if you have one night where you had too much sodium, or you had a terrible night of sleep, or you're super freaking stressed, or you're menstruating, or you're whatever is going on, right? There's so many things that on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis can cause your weight to up. But over a 2 week gap, we get a pretty clear snapshot of what you're doing, and we can help make that adjustment to allow you to keep on moving forward. So I am pausing now to allow Catch or other coaches to weigh in with thoughts they might have. The beauty is that we have the squad here today, right? If you haven't all paid attention, Catch is here, Jen is here, Nick is here with, oh, my beard envy of Nick will just never get old. Guys, it's the best beard I've ever seen in my life. And I can't, I want to
Can't
grow
even
up
see
here.
his face.
I can't.
Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you. He's the guy with the glasses and a nose.
Yeah, that's me. To pretty much back up what Adam said from the strength perspective, because I get this question a lot, is like, I'm trying, and I like to use Ben as a awesome example, is
Go, Ben.
when people come to like, hey, I want to get stronger, but I don't want to sacrifice the calories, blah blah blah, but I want to look better, with my shirt off, in a nutshell. So when we're talking this body recomp, depending on, and Catch uses a really good analogy, is it not analogy, but he says it depends where you are in your fitness journey. Ben is at a point where he's still losing weight on a steady basis, but he's gaining strength. And what's going to happen at some point in Ben's journey is his weight shift is going to change. And it's going to go from drop, and his body's going to have a new body composition. And then he's going to maintain steady because he's now traded fat for muscle mass. And then he might see some slight gain because now that fat's down to a certain level where the muscle is the primary indicator of his body composition and his weight. So this is why I try to tell people from a strength perspective, throw out their scale. Because that whole 2 week baseline, because that's what it is you're giving Adam a baseline of where you're at, what you're eating, how you're eating, and then we can fine tune to those individual goals. So the beauty about backing up strength work with nutrition is I've never prioritized the aesthetic. I've never prioritized how I look. My aesthetic is a byproduct of how I eat and how I train. So my body changes from when I'm 8 weeks out to when I'm 4 weeks out. So your body's going to go through these phases in this, and you just got to ride the lightning. And you're going to trend up if you stick to the plan. And you're going to have those days where you carry more water or you've ate more sodium, like Adam said. But it's going to trend in the right direction as long as you follow through with that baseline and we're able to have that steady ground foundation to kind of build you up of. I'm no nutrition coach, but I've been getting nutrition coaching and for the last 6-7 years. So I understand how it's supposed to go. And what Adam's doing is no different than what your best nutrition coaches in the game do. They onboard a client, they get a baseline for 2 to 3 weeks, then they take that baseline and then they start changing things. So you have your micro and your macros. Your macros are how you look, your micros are how you feel. So when he was talking about those mental benefits, those little chemicals and enzymes in those good foods, those natural foods, those blueberries, things like that, those are all going to input into your brain chemistry and how you feel. So the fact that you can get your nutrition right and get your training right there's all these scientific, I don't know what the fucking word is.
No, I like scientifical. I'm actually going to go with this from now on.
Scientifical benefits
Scientific findings
of mental
100%.
health that coincide what he's designed for you. And I was having this discussion in our team chat with Noah yesterday of I'm currently rebuilding a few of his lifts from ground zero. I told him to throw PRs out the window. We're rebuilding because what has to happen first, we have to create the neural pathway. So how we create a neural pathway is repetition. It's same with eating. You get those repetitions, you learn how to do it, your brain starts to create that habit. So I'm creating a movement habit out of Noah in the right direction. Adam's creating a movement habit or nutrition habit by getting you guys started in the right direction. And creating the habit is always the hardest part. I can tell you, when I come off of a deload after a contest and I've ate the pizza, ate the Taco Bell, ate all the things I wanted to eat for, I got about a week and then I feel like shit. And then I'm chomping at the bit to get ready to get back into that habit. So you create the habit and it makes 5 years down the road easier. It's intimidating now, but that baseline is everything, because that is essentially what everything in your nutritional future is, a definitive starting point. It seems small, but it's actually life-changing.
Mm-hmm. I might tack one thing on. I know we're still on our first prompt, but it was really good because I saw a question come up, not only in the comments, but Alyssa, thank you for asking again today here in the chat. So we're all talking about baseline. We're all talking about these 2 weeks. A lot of this is just a personal audit, right? What are my habits? What are my go-to foods? At the end of the day, what am I leaning towards? What do I have left? And most importantly, what's in what I'm eating? And Alyssa's question here on this side is like, this is actually a bit more food than I normally eat. And it's a very common question that comes up for anyone that's kind of wanting to say, okay, I'm ready to look at what my food is. And there's two things going on. Number one, a lot of what we're doing because of modern agriculture, we're getting a lot of calories in that are like very dense, like a bag of Cheetos, versus like the same amount of calories in blueberries is a great example from Nikolai, very different portions. And what starts to happen is you start to put these real foods in, these grown foods in real servings, which your body loves. You're like, God, I'm just full. I can't get this food in. It's called fiber. It's called nutrition. It's called your body is taking time to process and break down these amazing things. And that's going to be a transition period. So Alyssa's question, am I sabotaging myself if I'm not getting all the recommended food in? The answer is no. But what I want you to do is be aware of how you're starting to transition from maybe packaged foods or your normal go-tos. And I understand, I know, yep, I've got my snack stash too. Everyone's got it. But as you start to transition, do your best each day. Again, this tracker is meant as feedback, not as judgment. So use the tracker. Say, okay, yep, tomorrow I'm going to give it one more serving of carbs in. I'm going to get one more serving of protein in. And also you'll start to see where, as Ketchel was a great example, we burn a lot of calories and fats and we don't know what's happening. Like even today as my tracker, I'm like, oh, I put my milk, my MCT oil. Okay, I'm down to 3 servings today. Got it. So just use it as awareness, but each day aim to meet those serving sizes. It will not be overnight or else you'll hate us. Take the 2 weeks, use the time that we've given you to transition. And then when you hit that 2-week mark, you're going to start to feel like, oh my God, I'm actually hungry. Is this all I get? Because now your metabolism's firing and feeding. So just wanted to point that out. And thank you for asking that question.
I was actually pretty happy that I was low on carbs and fat. So, but I was afraid if I actually up it, then I would be, not as efficient. So, but
I understand.
I was kind of happy. Like, oh, maybe I add a little more carb and I can have a, extra.
Exactly. Yes.
That's better in my yogurt.
I just want to say a couple things on this, because we've had a lot of people, even people whose goal is apparently to gain weight, who have said it seems like too much food. And so for the people who are trying to gain weight, as someone who went from 165 to 180 over the last year, you have to eat a lot more than you think you have to eat. It's a lot of food. But for the people who are trying to lose weight who think this is too much, the one thing I think we'd all remind you is you're going to check in 2 weeks. You cannot do that much damage in 2 weeks. Okay, you're not going to put on 30 pounds of fat.
Unless you're really trying hard.
Challenge accepted.
Unless,
Yeah, I know.
yes.
I feel like Etchel's issuing the you guys can't. I mean, if you are intentionally trying to gorge yourself, by all means, the body will comply if you give it the double middle finger.
I can
But
live with people.
you gotta try.
But it is, so I would remind everyone, like I said to someone else yesterday who said, I don't know, this makes me nervous. I don't like counting calories, but I'm afraid if I stop, I'll lose all my progress. And what I said to them was, you need to reframe the risk of this. What's the best thing that can happen? You don't like counting calories and you're free of that for the rest of your life. What's the worst thing that can happen? You put on 2 pounds, which will take you 2 weeks to take off. So people have a very lopsided risk analysis in their brain normally. And I would just encourage people, first of all, we know that even though this is more servings than you may be used to, it will work if you stick with the plan you're given because we've seen it. But second of all, I would just remind everyone you can, unless you completely blow your servings out of the water and purposely double your fat servings from what Adam has put into the calculator and double your carb servings, you're not going to gain 30 pounds in 2 weeks before your check-in.
And that also ties in with the goal setting, right? Setting a clear goal is very, very important. And your goal should be your true goal, right? And the exception to the rule, and there's two ways, right? Whatever your goal weight is, you should set that. But as we talked about at the beginning, you should really challenge like falling in love with a number versus, well, what am I? I want body fat. I want to have less body fat. If you're saying to yourself, I want to have less body fat, that means you have a fat loss goal. Now, it might not be a ton of weight that you want to or need to lose, but that's just the reality. And giving yourself a gain goal where then we're going to create a caloric surplus over a long time horizon, can you get there? Of course. But are you more likely in the short term to probably be like gaining weight, which is what you asked us to help you do, as opposed to getting leaner, which is not what you asked us to do, right? You just have to be very, very honest with how you approach that goal. And there's also something to consider here, which we go into it, is that we're not just trying to help you achieve your goal. We're trying to get you on a path that allows you to do sustainable behaviors that lead to progressive change, right? So there's two notes. And the first note here is I see some people who are stressed by like, I've got my workouts, I've got the diet, I've got the habits. Guys, we're trying to create a one-stop shop. That's been Arnold's vision. Nowhere are we saying that if you don't use a part of this app, you are somehow failing. If you show up and you interact in the community and you feel more connected to people or more seen, that's a win. If you show up and you do your workouts, even if you're supposed to do 3 and you do 2 and you'd previously been doing 0, that's a win. If you show up and you track your foods and you don't like the way that the tracking looks, but you learned something, that's a win, right? We built an app to create the ability for you to get better every day. And I don't want the tools and the guidance that is here to feel like an obligation to do it all. That's the problem with life. We feel like we have to do it all, and we don't, right? The people who truly understand mastery are the people who get so focused and realize this is the one thing I want to get better at. And then once it becomes automatic, you either keep on doing that better or you then add something else. Arnold is the best at this that I've ever seen. His level of focus on what he is doing at the current time, even if it's playing chess and we really need to talk to him and he's like playing chess, is unlike anything you've ever seen. And no one would ever, say Arnold isn't doing a lot. But Arnold's ability to do a lot is because he does a little and it's such a focus intense that he can master that and then learn how to master and juggle multiple things. So if the addition of the nutrition tracker feels like it's taken away from your workouts, so the addition of the workouts taken away from your habits, right? Again, we're playing the long game. You don't have to change everything today. You don't have to change everything tomorrow. You have to change something. And sometimes the change is just showing up and creating awareness. Sometimes it's the fact that like I am here in this app because I'm committed to getting better. I'm going to figure out that one thing. So if you can do it all, great. If you can't do it all, also great. Just do something that benefits you because like Ben said, it is worth it. It will always be worth it. And I want you to have the love and empathy for yourself that's saying that I'm going to show up to something, but it doesn't mean I have to show up to everything. And that then ties into the diet where a lot of us get into these patterns of behavior that makes it hard for us to have success because our baseline is so restricted that there's nowhere to move. And I'll give you a perfect example. 10 plus years ago, I wrote a New York Times bestselling book where there's parts of that book that I still like, but the core diet, I would never, and I said never, ever, 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 ever recommend again. And the reason is, back then when I was coaching, I felt that it was so important to get people to see quick results. So like the first phase of this was like a carb starve. We called it an insulin reset because marketing's a funny thing. It's not an insulin reset. I'm embarrassed of myself, but we all make mistakes, right? I thought it was smart at the time and it wasn't. And that's what we call growth, right? The ability to acknowledge when we make mistakes. And I've made a million of them and I try to rectify them, right? I try to make them better. And that would get people excited and motivated. And that was great. And then here was the problem, right? We would start them with this insulin reset where they would have no carbs whatsoever. And then eventually weight would plateau. And then what are we going to change for them? Now we got to strip away some fats and then they plateau again. And then what are we going to strip away from them? Well, we got nothing really to strip away except for protein. So we're going super low on calories. There's nothing to take away from anymore. And like people are like, and then they start feeling really restricted. So there's this idea of metabolic adaptation where we're trying to train your body to eat the amount of calories that it should be able to handle at the current body weight. Because for many of you, your metabolic adaptation is actually a little bit maladjusted. You have gotten so used to eating less of some foods that in order for you to continue seeing progress, there's nothing that you can change. And I would love to create a baseline where, right, we have the ability that if we want to take servings of carbs, if we want to take servings of fats, if we want to take servings of protein, we have multiple levers that we can pull to get you better. But then oftentimes it requires you to see that, oh, I can eat more than I thought, right? And again, if you're eating a few hundred calories more per day, it's usually not a big deal. And oftentimes, if a lot of those carbohydrates, a lot of those foods are from carbs, and you're training, it doesn't matter because there's also a direct correlation between carbs being the primary preferred fuel source for your body and training. So as people tend to up their carbohydrate amount some, their training performance improves. And it doesn't necessarily have to be I'm eating tons of calories more. It just means that you're providing your body with a fuel source that is more readily available when you train so you can push harder and burn more calories in your workouts. So the netting out is equal. Oh, I ate more carbs, but I had more intensity in my workout, or I did more reps, or I had more strength. So the net output is no, or sometimes even beneficial. But you're going to know your body best. But as Ketchel said, the idea here is like within 2 weeks, the idea is that you learn and that you adjust and that you give yourself the freedom and ability to understand how different foods work for you without just assuming, oh, this is too much. Then we can get into, I think a lot of people then tap into like our struggle with like what is a portion size, right? We
Well,
can catastrophize
yeah.
like, oh no, this is a lot of carbs. And it's like I have like 5 servings of carbs. Now, this is not meant to be calorie counting at all, but if you want a rule of thumb, because nutrition labels exist, right? And in future versions of this, we'll have the ability where you can upload a nutrition label and it can tell you what the servings are. Because we have a whole bunch of calculations on the back end. There's a reason this took so long because like we have to be able to adjust to you on a personal level. We have to be able to see your compliance. Because if you're not compliant, that's everything, right? We have to be able to see your results. But if you want a rule of thumb, and this is a very, very general rule of thumb, and it's not exactly how it works on the back end, but it's enough to help guide your behaviors. A serving of protein is 20 grams of protein, right? So if someone sees like I've got like 7 servings of protein, like that would be roughly, and there's a variation here, right, that we've built in 140 grams of protein in a day, right? So it's like serving of protein is basically 20 grams. A serving of carbs is also essentially 20 grams. So like a slice of bread is a perfect example. And then a serving of fat is 10 grams. But even there, you could see a serving of fat and a serving of carbs is not completely equivalent to a serving of fat because the amount of calories per gram of fat is 9. There are 9 calories per gram of fat. right? There are 4 calories per gram of carbohydrate or protein. So even that, when you see the servings, right, almost always you're going to see fat to be on the lower end because fat is more calorically dense. And also, fat is not a problem, but fat finds its ways into foods that we typically underestimate, like the sauces and marinades and cooking oils that unintentionally dramatically spike the caloric impact. Ketch had to deal with this yesterday. He was like on the road all day eating foods out, and he's like, "Oh my God, it's so much harder to like stay within things." Like fat gets elevated. So if you need a way to kind of gut check, I wanted to give you that little just like insight of if you want directionally accurate, right? And don't assume, because remember we create ranges for things. There's never a hard number. Just like when we recommend protein for people, there's always a range. Carbs, a range. Fats, a range. We do not want to overthink, but that gives you some. I think Jen wants to chime in.
Yeah, you just struck a question, a point. You start to ping on something that's been in the questions here on the tab. So how do you want everyone recording? I had a serving of salmon. Well, there's fat in salmon, or I had 3 eggs this morning, but there's fat and protein. So is there a way or a guideline you'd like everyone to follow regarding when you have 2 things in one, even chia seeds, right? So how do you want us to go about that?
Yeah, I think the mixed foods are always going to be the most complicated, right? Because some of them are going to fit into 2 categories, and that's okay, right? If you're having 3 eggs, right? You're having a 3 egg omelet, right? That's going to be a serving of protein, and it's going to be probably 2 servings of fat,
Mhm.
right? And this is where like our nuance will go on, but like that's where we have the food list because you'll see like eggs will show up in fat, eggs will show up in protein, unless you're having egg whites. And some foods will fall into both categories.
Right.
And that's okay. And then people have the issue about like the mixed meals, right? Well, if I'm making like a pasta dish, and Catch had a great example where it's like you almost break out, well, what did I put into my pasta dish? My meat was my protein, my pasta was my carbs, and then my cooking oil that I use was my fat. And then he throws a bunch of veggies in there, and there are my 2 servings of veggies. So sometimes, right, there's a level of awareness that fattier cuts of protein, right, will be both a protein and a fat,
Yeah.
right? Some
So then
sort.
maybe that guideline you said, so if we know if a 1 serving of fat, guys, is about 10 grams, then you know where you want to spend that. So as he said, it's about, and this is where macros are having an idea of what's in what you're eating is helpful. So if there's 6 grams of fat in an egg on average, right? 3 eggs, we're at 18. So I'm like, I'm gonna do 1 egg and then egg whites. That's how I solve the problem for me. Like, I don't want to spend 2 servings of fat here. I'm gonna spend one, get my protein in, right? So that you were saying, Adam, 10 grams is 1 serving of fat, 20 and 20 for your protein and for your carbohydrates. Okay, guys, that's a great. So if you need to mix some things, do that. And one thing I'll just say, because I know there's a lot of families in here, Adam mentioned the pasta idea where I put this much pasta in, this much oil. Jen, how do I know how much is in 1/6 of a serving? Take everything that you put in, add it up, divide it by how many servings there are. That's your total. All right. You
And
can
then
make dishes.
right, and there's a level of like, guys, if you're having coffee and you're putting a splash of milk in there, it doesn't count. Right? If you have a protein bar and there's 20 grams of protein and 5 grams of carbs, don't worry. You know what 5 grams of carbs are? It's 20 calories. 20 calories is literally doing absolutely nothing. And this is where we talk about like we don't major in the minor. Because again, what we're doing on the back end of this is calculating everything because like there are associated ranges where like you're going to be good and healthy. And you'll even see within the tracker, like in order to get a green, you don't always need to be 100% compliant, right? You can have a range, and we've done this intentionally because like people think that it's 10 calories here, 10 calories there, or 100 calories here, and it's these behaviors that are fundamentally disruptive and so far away from how you think you're eating that like diets allow a little bit of variation to still be incredibly compliant and incredibly successful. So I just think that the importance of being honest about how you eat and not stressing too much, right? Because like at the end of the day, right, those 3 eggs, I would track it as 2 fats. Most people, but like if you tracked it as 1 fat, right? 18 grams. It's in this like it's really close to 20, but and everything else was dead on. And that one serving does nothing, right? Ketch and I were even playing around because like we test this stuff. We had testers, and he sent me pictures of his food and estimated how much, how what all the servings were, right? Because we are obsessed with making this great. And then I estimated as well. And Ketch and I were within one serving of this, and it was like on across everything. And that one serving, it was a fat serving, means absolutely nothing, right? It's a rounding error if you were in accounting, right? It will not make a difference, but it's more about if you have a mixed food, right? If you have something that truly has 20 grams of protein and 10 grams of fat, if you're having a ribeye, which is a fattier cut of meat. You can have the ribeye. It's delicious. It's going to be servings of protein and it's going to be servings of fat. So if you want to simplify the process, right? You can, and this is where like Michael Easter's book, The Comfort Crisis, one of his great tips, which like if you're okay eating this way, is to like eat more foods that are like a single macronutrient because it creates so much clarity in how you eat, and it's how the like all these tribal people would eat, right? They will like eat their corn and they will eat their meat and they will eat their fruit, and it's like it's very easy for them to know. And also from like a taste bud, like satiety becomes easier because you don't end up having these ultra processed foods that mix salt and sugar and fat in a way that kind of numb our taste receptors in a way that just kind of make us more insatiable rather than like eating things that are satiable. And as you have these questions, that's what I want them to ask. And what we can do is like we can create a guide of just mixed foods and how they fit in, right? If we know the majority of foods that people are worried about, right, our job is to continue to modify and provide more clarity to you because some foods will without a doubt fall within multiple categories. And some of them, even though they technically fall within, the amount is so nominal that it doesn't matter. Like oatmeal, people are like, oh, there's protein in my oatmeal. Well, it's like, depending on the brand of oatmeal, it's like 3 to 5 grams. It's not a protein, right? Oh, there's protein in my peanut butter. But yes, it's protein, but it is a very inefficient source of protein. That is a fat source. That is not a protein source, right? There's protein in my bread, unless you're getting up to like 20 grams, and it's a carbohydrate, right? And oftentimes, if you're doing a good job, it's a fiber. So those mixed foods, in most cases, are going to fall into one of these serving categories, and then in some exceptions, they will fall into multiple categories.
All right, Adam, I'm going to get to Kevin next, but first let me shoot through some of the questions in the Q&A here. In which category shall I track the 2 tablespoons of honey I add for its claimed recovery properties in the Pump Club newsletter? I'm about to have honey because I'm about to work out. That is a carb. I'm on a GLP-1 medication. Let me come to that. That's harder. Where to track Doritos? That is a free choice meal.
That is one of your
Sorry, don't.
processed foods.
A
They're
lot of you are
delicious.
going to have potato chips, croissants, the things that have a ton of carbs and butter and fat. You're going to want to mark them as free choice and not try to game the system and count them as a carb and a fat. It will help you realize how much those things are in your life. Okay, now, will the Arnold AI help us track more complex meals?
It's a great question. What do you mean by
We should train. I think that they mean the way I've been answering for people. Like if you're making a bolognese sauce, your carrots, onions, and garlic, that's vegetable. Your venison, that's protein. Your pasta is carb. I think people are going to want that, so we should maybe have you sit down today and type up some samples and teach it.
That's a matter of training it, right? The Arnold AI we train, it's been trained on 60 years of Arnold knowledge, but it also gets trained on the stuff in the app. So I think as we continue to refine that, our job is to continue to make the Arnold AI smarter and smarter and be a reflection of the knowledge within the app and the newsletter, as opposed to just the sea of endless wisdom or not wisdom that's on the internet.
I'm on a GLP-1 medication and I struggle to get the food and water goal amount in. Any suggestions?
If you're on a GLP-1, you should be working with your physician on that, right? So certain situations, right, when it becomes a medical situation, and GLP-1 is without a medical thing, right? You're getting it prescribed by a doctor. You should work with your doctor on that because me intervening in ways that I'm not aware of all the situations that you are dealing with would be inappropriate of me, right? It's easy to just say I have the answer, but right, that just requires a different level of nuance. So there are times that I want to help, but that's more of like, hey, here's what my physician says. Here's what they're recommending. Can you help from that? And that's where we weigh in. Oftentimes, right, we know a lot, but last time I checked, guys, I do not have a doctorate from anywhere. Um, Dr. Bornstein from Pump Club University. It's not there. So I won't go ahead and make recommendations that can sometimes do more harm than good, but talk with your physician and then we can help you troubleshoot from there. But me weighing in otherwise is just that'd be wrong of me.
All right, let's get Kelly's question because was that your question that Adam was? Okay.
Hi, thank you very much for this Q&A. I love the app. It's so great. If anybody's ever done Weight Watchers, it's real similar, only I like this better. Um, you know, I'm a nurse and our medical system we know is broken and physicians give you nothing. They give you no guidance. They say, try this medication. It might help you. What I was looking for is more like, you know, when you're trying to prioritize, like maybe like, okay, I start with a big bunch of water in the morning. Like I'm kind of looking for more specifics, like here's how I get my water in throughout the day. I do water first and then I eat little during the day, or, you know, just some more specifics like that. I understand you don't want to give specific advice like, yes, prioritize water over food. But I probably should have clarified better my question.
Yeah, so this actually comes up regardless of people on medication. And people have patterns, whether they're on medication or not, of hunger and thirst. And the idea is like you play to when it makes it easier for you. So if you find yourself thirstier at certain points of day, take advantage of that to drink more. If you find yourself hungrier, especially if you're not eating enough, it makes sense to go ahead and eat more in those times. I think the opportunity for you is where is it easiest for me to remove the friction of the struggle that I'm having? Because it's not necessarily like, oh, if I don't drink water at this point or don't eat at this point, I'm creating problems for myself, right? Your body is very smart that what matters far more is what happens within a 24-hour period. It's no different than with calories. People obsess about like, should I eat in the morning? Should I eat at the night? And, you know, all things being equal, if you eat the same number of calories throughout the portion of the day, and if you're having the same macronutrient split, whether you eat more in the morning or more in the night, your output is going to be the same. When it changes is when if those behaviors affect subsequent behaviors. So if someone eats more of their calories at night and that causes them to overeat calories, right? So now they are eating more behaviorally. They are doing something that causes them to eat more or less. So I would say that you experiment with these things. If you struggle drinking water throughout the course of the day, but it's easier for you to drink it first thing in the morning, and you can just like can take down a whole bunch of liquid, do that. That's actually something I do. I forget to drink during the course of the day, so I drink a lot of water first thing in the morning because I'm sitting down and I'm doing work, and my kids are hopefully not up yet, but they get up so freaking early. And then I spend my whole morning just peeing, and I walk my kids to work every day, and it's always a rush back, so I don't piss myself. It's embarrassing. But right, that's like I'm doing what works for me because I haven't had an accident yet, and there's always depends if it gets really bad. So it's one of those things where like I drink a lot in the beginning of the day. I drink a lot around dinner, and then I cut it off because I don't want to wake up in the night because I want to be able to sleep through the night. And then similar with eating, I eat a lot for breakfast. I eat a lot at dinner. I really don't eat much during the day because I'm trying to cram in all the work. So I think some of figuring out the cadence or the frequency or the amount is going to be dependent on when it's easiest for you to do the thing that feels a little bit harder.
Thank you. That's super helpful.
Yeah. Don't pee yourself.
Kevin?
Well, hello. Hopefully you can hear me. It's got some traffic going by.
We
A
can hear.
couple of things that I've thought of over the years that referred to me is that, when going back to what Ben was saying about looking back on the mountain and enjoying the view is also, a lot of people when they lose weight, I've done some mental health stuff and they still have the same struggles, because, I guess the whole point is you got to love you first, because this is just a shell that you're in. And the same with other people, we tend to extrinsically be worried about judgment from others. But the thing is, like Arnold says, it doesn't matter, because these little things that you're worried about, the people who really care about you, they have eyes, they work, they see this stuff. They don't care because they like the you. And to help you move along with this, you need to like the you. And one quick thing I learned over the years too, is that it's really hard to overeat nutrients and stuff. And when you're getting what you need, your body tells you to stop. I guess even regardless if you're supposed to eat this much, but if you can't, I guess you can't. I don't know. And another thing too, I was wondering like I said, I do some mental health things. I work in schools. And there's all this stuff about trauma. And one of the things is the body remembers, even though the brain doesn't, which, PTSD, a lot of this other stuff. But I'm curious, I'm thinking about same thing with nutrients. I'm wondering that night when you're like poking through and opening every cupboard in the fridge because you're looking for something, but you don't know what it is if your body's saying, hey, you need more calcium or you need more potassium, but it can't tell you. I don't know. So if you're getting all your nutrients, your diet doesn't need a fancy name, just enough nutrients, Anyway, those are some thoughts about that. So now some questions. When you are talking about servings or, like, is it, especially when you're dealing with raw to cooked and stuff, is it like if I'm having a 5-ounce burger patty, is that 5 ounces measured before I cook it or when I'm going to eat it? Because, stuff changes along that line.
So typically that's a fair question. So it's something that I've dealt with. Typically, in most cases, nutrition weight is post cooking. I have.
When was the last time you ate a raw burger?
Exactly.
But I don't know. Like a lot of stuff is like have a serving or have this, but is the serving like what's going to go in my mouth?
Yes. So especially when it comes to meat. So my food, because I prep so much in bulk, I measure before cooking, because my nutritionist gives it to me raw weight, and it's about rule of thumb a 25% difference in weight. So you don't need to worry about that. Measure all your weight in meat post cooking because that's what you're going to be eating.
All right. And another question along that line too is, like, say a cup of vegetables. How much am I jamming into that cup if I'm trying to measure it? Because I could put like 8 leaves of spinach and fill the cup versus
it doesn't matter.
Pushing it in.
That's overthinking. I smash in spinach. I eat a shit.
All right, great.
I buy the babies of baby spinach and they last me 3 days.
Kevin, you will find that if you keep on adding servings of vegetables, it stays in the green, and that's for a reason. We want you eating many and other things, it goes red pretty quickly. Those vegetables, you keep on going, it keeps on staying green. We're creating a feedback loop of what we want you to be eating, which is definitely
right. So that's very helpful for me, memory that. And I suppose the third thing that's on my mind when we're talking about fats and say things like meat. Okay. Bacon has a lot of fat in it, right? But when you cook it, all of that is left in the pan, the vast majority of it. So how is the fat measured? Is it still stuff that could potentially be in the cells, or are they thinking you're going to drink all that stuff that's in the pan too? I mean, I know it sounds
that's just overthinking.
Silly, but
that is overthinking.
Exactly.
It's not silly.
Okay.
It's fat. You cooked it in the fat. The fat's still in there. You're not like the fat isn't
right.
Yeah. So that's just
we're good
to game a system to make ourselves feel better about something.
Right.
which is fine, but like the majority of the fat's still in the food. You didn't like grill all of it out.
Right. Okay, good. That's great to know. I mean, like a lot of us, we obsess over the stuff that just doesn't matter, and then we don't have enough stuff left to really care about what does matter.
Yeah,
So,
I wouldn't be worried about the fat in the pan. They're
right, right.
much bigger battles to fight.
That's exactly right. I guess that wraps it up for me a little bit right now. I'm sure I'll come up with more questions, but I really appreciate this stuff. And Catch, I was on a meeting in Nikolai with you guys a couple weeks ago, and I'll say it again to everybody here. You know, I got in on day one as a founding member, and it's the best money I ever spent, or some of it. I mean, there's so much great stuff coming from this, and I can't say enough about it, that how good it is. Even when you're struggling and you can't keep up with it, it's still there to support you. And yeah, it's awesome. So thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Well said, Kevin. Very true.
Let's get to Pete. You've had your hand up, and then I have a question from the chat for Adam after Pete.
Hopefully you can hear me. I'm on a cell phone. Right off the bat, you guys rock. I just want to get that out of the way right off the bat. But my question is, about a year or so ago, Adam, you and Catch, you compared each other's diets and you tweaked Catch's for his growth phase to try to and that's somewhere about, I feel like I'm in that same situation. I went down from about 205 to about 165 pounds. And I started going into, instead of, the program of losing weight and cutting, to starting building muscle. And I kind of like use that as a reference. How would that apply to the goal setting for this plan here? Are you still in sort of the weight loss version or the gain muscle or the gain?
Ketchell's probably trying to maintain right now, if I had to guess, more than anything. So like, right, you have three options. It's really what you're trying to do, right? It's hard for people to be honest about what they want to accomplish. And sometimes a great goal is maintenance. And that sounds funny, but like to me, the holy grail of fitness is maintenance. Like you're just happy
Right.
where you're at and you want to get stronger and maybe you want to incrementally build muscle and stay as lean as you are. And like to me, that's a maintenance thing where it's just like I am training to get stronger, feel better, but like the weight kind of fades to the background. But I can't tell you what you want your goal to be. And Ketchell's goal is constantly shifting. Right now, Ketch uh what's the best way? I want to call it demoing, but that doesn't feel like a strong enough word. He's going through the school of Coach Nic right now, building horsepower, right? In Rocky language, we built in Hurtenbaum. Catches training like a strong man right now. And
I think it's life in the fast lane.
yeah, we even had the conversation with him. We're like talking about like how shredded you get. And he could on this plan, but like Catches training at like a higher volume, a higher intensity, right? Just at a horsepower is the best way to really put it. And he needs more fuel to get through these workouts because they're soul snatchers, right? So the goal for him right now is performance, which means he needs more calories to perform. And that's his focus right now.
Right.
So it's just being honest about like, well, what is it that I'm looking for right now?
Yeah, and just to tack on, since I was the example so much in this, my preferred way of living is maintenance because there's no thinking for me in maintenance. So I was 165, between 160 and 165 for 15 years after I lost my skinny fat body from the governor's office, early days. So I never really diverted from that, except for a couple times where I would do a birthday challenge in 6 weeks I would cut and drop into the 150s and get into single digit body fat. But besides really rare things, I've liked maintaining. We want all of you to get to that place where you're just maintaining and you don't have to spend every day thinking. And the problem is a lot of people who get into fitness think about it as, oh, now I'm in a bulk phase and now I'm in a cut phase. And like, that's fine if that's what you want to do. To me, that's exhausting.
Right.
Constantly changing. Get to where you want to be, get as lean as you want to be, and then play around. Like I was obsessed with getting to 180, and like Adam said, now I'm using the maintenance plan for diet and app. I'm eating for performance. I just ate a bunch of 2 tablespoons of honey to prepare for this workout. Um, and I I feel good, and I'm not worried about the fact that I'm 178 this morning. I'm just kind of living.
I,
I'm getting through my workouts.
I do want
Yeah,
to
it-
point out that, sorry, I do want to point out that I don't want anybody to overthink what, am I in performance? I'm lifting 4 days a week in the app. I'm doing maximize your strength program. That's why there's the toggle in the tracker to say training days versus non-training days. We've already built it in for you. So don't overthink, well, do I need to be doing honey before my workouts? Don't go there. I am training like a banshee over here, guys, and I'm still using this tracker. These are the servings I'm using. So don't think that you need to do more. I will point out, Scott Kane, the chat's been chatting with Nick. He's got a 50-mile race in October. That's a unique training system. Catch is a unique training system. And that's why as coaches, we're here to ask these questions. And so Nick gave him some really good advice over here. So if you're in the app and you're saying, I'm following, I'm still feeling hungry, at Nick, at Adam, let us know. And we can personalize some of this for you if you've got a big event coming up, like Nick is helping Daniel or Nick is helping Scott. Does that make sense, guys? So if you're in the program, you're doing this, don't worry about it. We're performing for life. These guys are performing for actual performance athletic events.
I do
Adam,
have
go ahead.
one question, Jen. When we get the Gen program in there, are we going to call it the Banshee workout?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
I don't even
That
know what a
might scare everyone
Banshee.
away.
I don't know what a Banshee is, you guys.
You
I won't
should
lie.
call it get cranked.
Yeah.
I hate you, Nick. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
It was
Inside
the,
coach's joke. Yeah,
we're
no.
gonna get to Emmanuel in just a minute.
Yeah.
I want to take a question that we saw in the Q&A portion. Someone asked, would you recommend intermittent fasting? And I'm guessing all coaches have a view on this. I'll share mine as someone who used to be intermittent fasting for more than 10 years. Read Adam's article in the app, search intermittent fasting. If you search anything you ever want, there's a good chance in the past 2.5 years, one of the coaches has written an article, and there is a deep dive on the research of intermittent fasting. As someone who used to do it and doesn't anymore, I can tell you 2 things contributed to me not doing it. You can decide which one more. One, as Adam points out in that article, a lot of the magic benefits, you get the same benefits from not eating too much, period, any way you lessen how much you eat. So the magic was all fake and hype, which that's how it goes with fitness trends. But the second thing was I had kids. Kids have breakfast. It's fun to eat breakfast. So I stopped. I'm just as lean as I was when I was intermittent fasting. Makes no difference. The one thing I will say that I think intermittent fasting was a huge benefit to me for was realizing I could overcome hunger, and you're not going to die being hungry. That was the one big benefit to me, because those forced windows, especially if you did like the 24-hour eat stop eat style, you had to power through hunger. And then the first day it was miserable. The second day you realize, I'm not going to die, I can do this. So it was helpful in the way that I don't freak out about hunger cues and think, oh, my body's telling me I need to go eat a bunch of Doritos right now, because that's how it's going to feel itself. Jen, are you?
I put the link to the article in the
No.
chat. And now let's look at intermittent fasting right there. Everybody click on it.
Yeah, I obviously wrote a book about intermittent fasting, and I could echo everything that Ketchel said. I'm not going to say I influenced him, but let's just be honest, I influenced him. Yeah, it's a tool, right? It is a tool, and if it works for you and it helps you manage your hunger better, because shrinking an eating window makes it harder to eat more. It still can be done, but having fewer hours to eat per day makes it harder to eat more, right? And that's it. So if it helps you manage hunger, if you find that it's good for work or working out or productivity, it's fine. It is one tool in a sandbox of many tools. I did it for a long time. I wrote a book about it. I like it. I've got nothing bad to say about it. Many of the claims are vastly overstated. Some people find that they don't perform as well when they are fasted. Some people find that they feel great, right? The example I always give, guys, Arnold trains fasted and then goes and has a big breakfast afterwards. And he's Arnold. It works for him, right? So it's more of what works for you. I found that ultimately I felt better, I performed better, and just like Catch, the moment I had my aha moment was truly is when I had my firstborn almost 10 years ago. And I was sitting there being an intermittent faster, and it truly dawned on me where I'm like, am I never gonna have breakfast with my kid? And I'm like, this is fucking stupid. Excuse my language. I'm like, I want to eat breakfast with my son. And like so many things in health, you'll find that if there is a purported benefit of something, they don't have exclusive domain over that benefit, right? So there are people who like doing cold plunges because they like the dopamine surge or they like the mental toughness. You know what? A hard workout can build mental toughness. Walking around outside can give you a dopamine boost. Listening to music you love, connecting with friends can give you a dopamine boost. So if you want the dopamine boost, if you want to build that grit, fantastic, do it, right? But the idea, right? But now everyone's like, oh, autophagy, right? You get the cellular cleansing from intermittent fasting. Autophagy isn't an on-off switch. Your body is in autophagy at all times, and some points it spikes and goes more, and sometimes it drops. Now, when you're not eating, your body has more of an opportunity to cleanse itself. It's why sleeping is the best time for autophagy because none of us are eating. And all you're doing with fasting is just extending that. But you know what also improves autophagy? Resistance training. Do you know what also improves autophagy? Any type of caloric restriction. So the question is it that intermittent fasting is increasing autophagy because you're not eating? Or is it that intermittent fasting is increasing autophagy because you're consuming fewer calories, right? So the idea is that so much of wellness is getting you to, it's a bit of the smoke and mirror show. It's getting you to focus on this one thing, thinking that it is the single answer or the single evil, and that is not the case at all, right? So if there's a benefit to be had by one thing, there is oftentimes a benefit to be had by another thing, and it's about what are the habits that you want to stack that you can consistently do that make you feel, perform, and act your best, and do that and make it work for you. So if intermittent fasting works for you, I got nothing but good things to say about it. If it doesn't, toss it out. You don't need it.
The question is, what the fuck does autophagy mean?
Autophagy is cellular cleansing. That is your body's remodeling and repair. It's what keeps us young and disease free. I used to call it autophagy because science words are hard to pronounce and PHs and guys, it's when you read scientific words all the time, you hear it in your head and you're like, I have no idea how to say that. I
You
hope
called it what?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Where you're not saying that again.
Yeah.
You should definitely say it again, real close to the camera.
I'm just being honest,
Adam is
guys. And
canceled.
the first time I said it through a science, I'm like, yeah, it's autophagy. And I was like, right, way more sense. way more sense.
Emmanuel, what's your question?
Emmanuel.
You're on mute. My favorite line of
You
Zoom.
gotta press the mute button so we can hear you.
Oh, sorry.
Or
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. You know, what I'm trying. So my question is trying to figure out, like, you know, like, as a how much, like, you know, like how much slices or how much grams or how much, like, the size, like, you know, it's like for one or two servings for each micronutrients. Like, when what I'm struggling with is, you know, like, what ways can I do, like, to just to check, like, how many servings does it mean? You know, like.
I'm going to help you right now, Emmanuel.
Hey.
So everybody, if you're on your phone, so I'm going to show you on mine. It literally, when you tap on the little apple on the bottom of the screen, right, it takes you to the tracker. Okay.
Yeah.
And then on the very top of the screen says calendar, which is your calendar, progress, what's your and then guides. You're going to tap on guides.
Okay.
And when you do that, you'll see a list of like tricks and serving sizes, which is exactly what you're asking about and what I want you to tap on. And when you do that, it shows you we're all based on like the size of your hand and your thumb, and that breaks down everything. So you know what size a piece of bread measures to 1 serving of carbs. And I think I should shout out to Adam's restaurant guide. This is just genius, Adam. So basically, if you were like going out to eat, you're like, what's a safe choice here? Adam's already done the thinking for you. Best coach on the planet. Does that help you, Emmanuel?
Yeah, but like for example, so if 2 servings of protein means like two palm sizes.
Yes.
So like, wait, doesn't mean like so 2 servings of protein means like about like the size of 2 palms of
Correct.
both hands.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you, Jen.
Yes,
Of
exactly.
course.
Exactly. You got it. Yeah. Good.
Yeah, so if you have
Thank
multiple servings, right, you can do it in both hands, or you can do it in one or the other. And the idea is that it is a good rule of thumb to help guide the behavior, and that makes it a lot easier. And as I was saying earlier, right, if you're looking at a label and it's just hard, like I'm not sure how this fits, if you want to be within a range, right? So do not obsess over the number, but as a general reminder for anyone who's joined late or missed it before, think of 1 serving of protein is 20 grams of protein. 1 serving of carbs is 20 grams of carbs. 1 serving of fat is 10 grams of fat. We don't want people obsessing over the numbers, but again, we live in a world with nutrition labels. So if you're confused, use that as a guideline to help you figure out the serving sizes in addition to the hand portions.
Thank you. That is really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Andres, do we have a question from you? Let's see the hand.
Yeah. Hey, what's up? So about creatine, when is it better to take it, like morning or night? Because usually I've been doing it at night, but I think maybe in the morning would be better. I think I don't know. I want to know that.
And when are you most likely to take it?
When am I most like probably at night, because
And
I mean
then
I
do
could
it-
train in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah, so many of these things, the majority of them, it doesn't really matter when you take it. You can take creatine before training, you can take it after training, you can take it during training, you can take it in the morning, you can take it at night. It doesn't really matter. The only thing is some people, if they take higher dose of creatine, some people, and it's a very, very small percentage, might find that they struggle with sleep. And you don't want it to necessarily be in your head. If you're sleeping well, everything's fine. Don't overthink it. It's fine. I take mine in the morning because I just throw it in my morning protein shake. I have a protein shake in the morning, 2 scoops of protein, 10 grams of creatine, scoop of fiber, a slice of sourdough, some peanut butter, banana.
Gotcha.
It's just so good. And it's what I eat legitimately every single day. When I'm on the road, I like going to find like a loaf of bread, and I've got my protein with me, and like that's just what I eat. So like everything's, but like right, we use the example a lot, but it's true. Like Arnold says, like most healthy habits you want to make, like brushing your teeth, it's so automatic that you don't, no one's forgetting to brush your teeth. So with creatine, if it's a habit you want to build, when can you put it during the day where it's like there is a 90% likelihood I'm not going to forget to do this, and that's when you.
Gotcha. And 5 to 10 grams would be good, right?
Yep.
I would say 10.
Okay. 10.
What was that, Nick?
Yeah.
That goes for women too, guys. It's not gender specific. 5 to 10. I agree, Nick. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you, guys.
I throw creatine in my wife's protein smoothie every morning.
For what it's worth, on training days, I take 5 grams before my workout, 5 grams with my intra workout stuff. And on my non-training days, I take 10 grams all at once together in my with my breakfast.
All right, cool. Thanks.
Ray.
Looking especially fit, by the way.
Well, thank you very much, Jen. Yeah, we were kind of talking privately. I've lost about 30 pounds since the Arnold Sports Festival, and I've been lifting 6 days a week now. And once the nutrition tracker came out, I was part of the beta test. So really what I'm here for is I'm a classic overthinker. I mean, you can ask Nick, you can ask Catch, you can ask, anybody that's seen me in the app and the way I try to interact, the things I try to do. And this process has allowed me to step away from that. And it's a struggle at first. And I got to admit, I think I saw somebody in the chat that was talking about, she's counting macros. I think it was Jeanette, and she's been counting macros for years. And I actually have to admit, when I first started doing the tracker, I was also tracking macros just to kind of gauge myself to where I was at, to make sure I was tracking it correctly. But once you get used to what is a serving and you follow that plan, the macros don't matter anymore. As long as you're following what that plan is and how it's laid out in front of you without overthinking it, it works. And just the way I look, the way I feel, I'm not losing a lot of weight now. I've been maintaining mid to upper 180s down from about 215 at the Arnold. But my belt is tighter. My clothes fit different. My waist is smaller, but my chest is bigger. So my shirts I wear for work are tighter in my shoulders and my chest and are looser in my waist, even though I'm not losing weight. And that goes back to what Adam was talking about with that recomp. The weight, the scale is kind of a reference only thing for me. I'm looking more at my body fat. My goal is next fall, I want to hit a bodybuilding stage. So long-term goal, I'm going to lose down to 7% body fat, but that's not where I'm going to stay. Obviously, that's ridiculous to think to do that. But once I get done with that, I'm going to find a comfortable weight. I think that Catch was talking about, find that comfortable weight where you look, where you feel the best, and then I'm going to start maintaining. So the fitness tracker, don't overthink it, follow the numbers, and it will work.
Ray, I just want to say you have done incredible work, and
Thank
I'm incredibly proud of you. And keep on going. And second of all, I just want to confirm: are you doing the bodybuilding show because you want an excuse to be in posing trunks, or because you want?
I was about to say, every time Adam starts to say something nice, I'm like, uh-oh, watch out for the boomerang. It's coming. It's coming.
Well, that's all right.
It is the Arnold school of the more shit talking you get, the more you know that you're loved. Also,
there you go.
We are at the Arnold Classic. Ray was just there roasting me the entire time.
Me?
The entire time.
Oh, once or twice. That's it.
Long memory, Ray. You're now you're there for life, man. The thing you learn about me is like it'll never be let go now.
See, here's the fun part. I give it, but I can take it too. So
that is all that matters.
And your question about the shorts, because I was asked what I want to do. If I want to do the classic, and I don't want to go out in board shorts. Plus, I want to do a posing routine. But really, I think it's about embarrassing my daughter. That's what it's about.
You will accomplish that if you're in posing trunks. That I can
She's sitting right next to me, sticking her tongue out at me.
Yeah, that's. I'm sorry for her. Great work, though, Ray. Sorge.
Thanks.
Hi. Maybe I missed it because I had a little connection problems here. I have a question I already wrote in the chat. This morning I was sitting at the breakfast in a hotel, and it's for me it's all the problem is all about business trips. I talked about it in the past with Catch and so on, and my problem was when I was sitting there and I tried to figure out where to put in the food. So at breakfast it was okay because they can choose, but at the lunch or something, if you are in a restaurant, then you are really in trouble figuring out if it is fat or carb or something, or is it just a cheat meal? I don't know if what I should add there.
Yeah, I think that the easiest way to do it, right, is when you order something, or depending on what you order, almost deconstruct of what are the different pieces that make up the meal, right? If you were to cook this meal on your own, what would have to go in it, right? So we were given an example earlier that if it's a pasta dish, but there's meat in the pasta or seafood in the pasta, right? The pasta itself would be a carbohydrate, right? And that's where you use the hand size, right? Is it the amount that's in your palm with the fingers, is it the amount of the palm? The protein would be a protein source. And then, if there's vegetables in there, if there's cheese in there, that would be a fat, right? So when you're eating out at restaurants, part of it is deconstructing the meal. Part of it is, within the tracker, I put in the 50 most popular restaurants worldwide. So it's a lot of chain restaurants, and like you can go and you can select items from there. But it's really about thinking about what is in a meal, and anywhere you go. And I recommend this just in general when you're eating out, you can make adjustments to entrees. If you're at a work meal where it's catered for you, you can't do that. But if you're eating at a restaurant, right, the number one tip that I tell everyone is that like tell people to use like a quarter of the oil that's in there, right? Because for them it's like, oh, not even like half. I gotta be aggressive because like people cook with so much oil, or if you want something removed, right, just ask for like, oh, can I have that without the cheese on it, right? The ability to make every meal, I think people get like shy, but like they've got to cook and prep that in the back there. So unless it's something that's completely pre-made, the ability to ask for the food that you want is your right. You're paying for it, or if it's a work trip, someone's paying for it. And you should tell people what you want. But deconstructing meals to think about, like, if I were to cook this at home, right? And you're somewhat estimated. You're somewhat at the mercy of the meal, but that's the best way to be, again, directionally accurate. You don't have to be perfect with knowing everything that's exactly in the meal, right? That's overthinking. You do want a good sense of what is a protein, what is a carb, what is a fat, and that's why we have the meal list, right? You can click on there and it will show you these are carb loaded foods. These are foods with fat. These are foods with protein to help guide that. And the hope is that, as much as possible, you're able to control your meals and make them on their own. Or the more that you eat out, as someone who for 2 whole years was on the road 3 days a week. I traveled Tuesday to Thursday every single week for 2.5 years. You start learning what works. You start knowing how to order. You start learning how to amend dishes in a way where you see something that has it, or you start asking like, "Hey, I see you got this like chicken dish, and I see you got avocado, and I see you got vegetables. Can I just do this chicken dish with like grilled veggies and an avocado on the side? Will you do that for me?" And they're like, "Yeah." Or they usually be like, "I have to charge you an extra $2." And I'm like, "Well, your meal is already 27. It's already overpriced. 27 to 29. That's no different to me. All overpriced either way. I'll make it happen." And right, you guys should feel freedom over asking for what you want or what you need. And I think that that's the best way to order out when we're on the road. And sometimes you just enjoy. Remember last time I had dinner with Jen, we were out and we each got really healthy meal. We got a fish dish with some like sushi rice, but you know what? There's chips and guac, and we were sitting there and we are like, "You thinking what I'm thinking? I'm thinking what you're thinking. Let's get the chips and guac." And that happens, right? And that becomes like the free choice meal that you throw in there.
Somebody who had to travel extensively with work, I found ordering 2 appetizers sometimes, and you can actually ask for the appetizer, which are typically sometimes lighter, not chips and guac, but like a tuna tataki or whatever. You can actually ask for that in a meal portion, and they'll do that for you. And it's I think I would have weighed 400 pounds if I ate out, business dinners for the amount of travel that I was doing. So it was a technique, trying to find those healthy foods on that menu, and reasonable portions, at least in the United States. Like, portion sizes are, it's like 4 days of food for me for one meal.
You remind me of something that I want to say to the whole group and everybody that listens to this later. This is what the village is for. So, Sorge, if you have a trip coming up, you're like, "Oh man, I'm going to be gone 6 days." When we do it that Monday check-in, say, calling all travelers. Anybody have hacks for breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever you're most concerned about? Use the wealth of the experience of the community to help you kind of stock your pond with solutions. "Oh, I travel with this. Oh, I always have this." The loaf of bread thing from Adam, I was like, "Oh, that's not a bad idea." Right? Like collect from the group and because people's failures brought them to what is winning for them now, and then you can see what works for you. So use the experience of the group by just asking for help.
Yeah, like one of my favorite sorts, I travel a lot and I love eggs, but most eggs get right, they're delicious, but they're cooked in so much more butter and oil than the average person use. When I go out and it's like you want to make sure you're eating something you enjoy, I only get poached eggs now. Because it's just they're boiling in water. They're not doing anything in the egg. I get a poached. I only or you if you go out to breakfast with me, I'm ordering poached eggs every single time.
Like,
Or
that's
if I know that I'm
genius.
not
I've never thought of that, Adam.
poached
Amazing.
eggs, poached eggs every
Genius.
single time. I ask for poached eggs. I ask for toast or I ask for potatoes, and that just takes care of it. And the toast, like the potatoes, are usually cooked in a lot of oil. And I'll get my coffee, and I'm just like, I'm a happy man, right? I travel with, if I were to show you, and like I travel with the same backpack. I can grab it over here with one hand. Like momentous travel packs of protein powder and a shaker bottle is always with me. And that goes with me when I travel on an airplane because airplane food tends to suck. And then depending on the airport that I'm going to, they may or may not have good meals. Right? I pack an apple, or Ketchel will know this better than anything. Before, because he takes me to the airport most of the time in LA, I have him stop and we pick up food, right? Because I'm sitting in the airport and then I got a long trip home, then I don't get dinner. I don't leave it up to whatever's in the airport. I get a meal and I'm the guy going through security with like a meal that I got somewhere else that I know is just going to be good, where I just like, I try to remove the choices and the variability that will screw things up for me. Right? The whole idea of you can't screw this up is like you truly can't, but like there's a lot that you can do that one extra step of plan or preparation can make your life so much easier. So that if I've kind of figured out my breakfast, my lunch, and then I'm leaving it up to the variation of like wherever work is taking me for dinner, at least I know that my diet has been dialed in enough during the course of the day that there's more room for it. A perfect example was like yesterday. Like I ate really well, and then I mentioned earlier my wife wanted to go out impromptu, and it was fine, right? Because like I was on track that the drink I had or the amazing burger which came on an English muffin that was just fantastic, right? You just go and you do it, and then you get right back on track.
If you're not a big bread person, you can go to In-N-Out. It's not on the menu, but you can order Flying Dutchman and you can get a double and they wrap it in lettuce and tomato.
There you go, Coach
Big
Nic.
brain move.
Yeah.
I'm an
Genius.
all the way on or all the way off person. If we're going out to eat and you guys go and pick something healthy, I'm gonna basically be like, fuck you, I'm gonna go find Taco Bell or In-N-Out. Like I'm either on plan or I am derailed completely. I'm in a person of extremes. There's no like, oh, what can I order healthy from this menu? It's like, oh, I'm gonna order 2 ribeyes and an extra serving of pasta. Like that's
Because I can.
exactly.
So on the opposite end of the spectrum, you can actually ask for a half portion. So a lot of times, instead of getting a 6-ounce or 8-ounce fillet, you can ask them for a half portion, like a 4-ounce.
It better be a half portion when it hits my bank account.
Yes.
I was like,
yes.
careful who you're talking to. It's not going to go well for you.
That sounds miserable.
Well, I'm just saying, for those of us who can't eat that much.
It is a great tip. It is a great tip.
Does anyone else have a question, or should we go through the remaining ones in the text?
Mind if I pop in?
Go.
I just 1 second, Mitten. I've been answering
Yeah.
a lot of them every been going in the chat, so I feel like we're covered in the chat at this point. And if we want to end on Mitten's question, that might be okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in terms of like salt and magnesium, I mean, I take Element pretty much every day. Is it better to take as a post-recovery drink? And also, should I double up if I'm having like a heavy leg day?
Magnesium's typically before bed. You need your body to store. Sodium is pretty much a constant throughout the day. If you're sweating extra in a workout, like I use a Gatorade powder as part of my intro with either I usually use pomegranate juice or something, but I use the Gatorade powder because it mainly has carbs and sodium. So magnesium is definitely when it's like a glycinate or whatever type of magnesium. That's typically something you're going to want to take before bed, PM supplements, because you want those stores built up overnight. You hydrate, you wake up hydrated, your body's holding water, you're ready to go throughout the day. But sodium is a constant, maybe a little extra while you're working out.
Yeah, and unless you're sweating a ton, you don't need to go insane. Like Element's got quite a bit of sodium, so you're fine with one. I mean, if you were just like dripping buckets,
I train in a bar with 95% humidity, so yes, I'm saying that because it's very crucial to me and in that environment because there's no air conditioning. I have a big fan, and sometimes that's off depending if they spread manure in the pasture next to us, because then you just smell shit the whole time.
That's a training environment.
Sodium is pretty much a constant. You should be getting it in your breakfast, salt your meals a little bit, like especially during the summer. It's not something you need to overthink. If you're feeling a little like, there's a good way to tell if you need more sodium. If you're sweating a lot and you just feel like you've got lead in your boots a little bit, typically that's a really good indicator is that you're pushing out a lot of those minerals, right? Your body's talking to you. It needs more retention, which means you got to up your mineral intake. So maybe a little bit more magnesium, potassium before bed, or banana before you work out with. Again, I told you I do shit in extremes. So I've even salted a banana before going out and doing things in the heat. Just like flavor's out the window for me. I'm performance based again. Sodium's not something you need to overthink. If you're getting it steadily, you're probably fine. If you're getting cramps, add more. Like it's
Sure. I
simple.
think I also get headaches if I'm low in sodium too. I don't know if those are
Yeah,
related.
yeah, dehydration, headaches. Yeah, that's a thing.
On
Okay.
playing tennis in Florida or wherever, or it's super, super humid, we what Nick said, we sprinkle LMNT on the banana. It's really good.
Okay, fair. Yeah, I'm in Orlando, so I get the 95% humidity.
There you go.
And if you guys read today's Pump Club, it is talking about also the importance of potassium later in the day. So if you missed it, check it out.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Do we have any other questions? Do we want to shift to Nick doing some form checks? Is Ketchel working out right now?
Yeah, he's been sending me his clean and press, and it's like a monkey fucking a football.
I have got to roll. I gotta teach class here
You
in
go,
20 minutes.
you go teach, Jen.
Love you guys.
We'll let Nick do some form checks.
Thank you, Jen.
And just so everyone has heard this now. They understand why I say I feel like a rookie when I'm doing this workout, and you also understand Nick's much nicer when he breaks down all of your form than he is when he breaks down mine. So Noah,
not even repeating what he just said, but it was fantastic. It's on tape.
There was also a baby giraffe gif shared in our
Your
in our
entire
group
friend group
text.
is like working with a bunch of baby deer.
Okay.
There's limbs everywhere on a clean and press.
All right.
Please send
Noah,
the video in the big group chat. Thanks. I'd like to take a peek. Love you guys.
Noah, will you start the form checks for Nick?
Will do. Here we go.
Great bar path. He's coming down to his nipple line, driving back up towards his eyes. I love this. A lot of people have a false sense of straight bar path and they press it out front. It makes the bench press much harder. This is ideal bar path. It's actually a straight line. It's just back towards your eyes. You kind of arc down with a bench press, and then it's a straight bit failing. Look, see how he brought it back towards his eyes and it accelerated again. So he got out front, he readjusts his bar path back up towards his eyes and picked up momentum back on that press. So let's see how his back is composed. Good. There's not a lot of shoulder movement. You see his shoulders not pressing up and down. That means his upper back is packed tight. This is a bench clinic, guys. Everyone take notes. I love to see everything coming together. You could probably get a little bit more leg drive, but his legs aren't dancing around. So that's great. If I'm nitpicking, maybe I'd like to see a little bit more leg drive, but you see how his legs aren't moving. Everything's tight. Everything's engaged. And he gave some great angles here.
So Nick, this is my left. The one question that I have is my elbows. Should they be in towards my torso more, or is it a good path where my elbows are?
No, what's happening is you're coming down in like a semi position, which is good. And if you notice when you press here, I don't know if you're doing this consciously or naturally, they flare out as you finish off the press. And what that's doing is after you're getting out of that bottom portion, look, here comes the flare. They roll out, boom, that's your triceps finishing. You have, again, I don't know if this is something you've just drilled or if it comes natural to you, but your bench technique's actually really good.
Yeah, I've really been working on it, taking some of the tips you've talked about, trying to break the bar on the way down, flare as you go back up.
Yeah.
The other question I have is, so when I'm getting close to failure, my left side of my body starts to break down before my right. Is there anything I can do to train that, or is that just
Not uncommon. Typically, dumbbell assistance work in benching plane is how you do that. But typically, the non-dominant side goes first. That's not abnormal.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. I really appreciate this. Thank you.
Of course. Great job, man. Starting off the
Guys, I'm going to jump because I need to help put my son down for his nap. So have fun. And Nick, don't show them my clean and press.
Do it.
That's between us.
This is hard to. It looks like you're shallow. And it looks like you're coming really far forward over your toes. Side angle would be a little bit easier to see. You're definitely favoring, if this is mirroring, I guess that would be definitely favoring your left, it seems. Again, not an uncommon thing with squats. People's hips favor one side or the other. But we want to get you a little bit deeper, and we want to sit back a little bit more. Maybe some slight heel elevation might help you, not squatting in. Those look a little spongy. So you just adjusted your heels. So let's get your feet slightly wider, because it looks like your hips are trying to get down, but you're so narrow. It's making it harder to get down to that depth. But this isn't terrible. You've got a lot of right components here. Proud chest, tight back, a lot of good things happening here. We just need to get you maybe a little bit wider, and that might clean up your squat, allow your hips to get back, allow you to get down to that ideal depth for a full range of motion. Yep. So it looks like you're a little closer on depth with these. You see how those heels are kind of peeling up at the bottom? So again, get a little bit wider, slightly, not a big change. And I want you to really sit down past your heels. Sit down right between them. A lot of right things here. I love your orientation from the hips up. Your back position, your back posture. Noah, this is what we were going over with your squat yesterday. This upper body position is great as far as overall squat form. We just need to get you a little bit deeper. And I think you getting more weight in the middle of your foot and into your heels, you see how those knees push forward at the bottom? That's what's pulling your heels up. And I think getting you a little bit wider, maybe some slight heel elevation, can completely alleviate that. And you'll really be cooking. You can go to the next one. Because this that side angle told me everything I needed to know. Okay. What do we got here? Got some deadlifts. Your deadlift form's great. So your squat width is the same as your deadlift width, and it looks great on deadlifts. I don't really want to change anything too much outside of your start bar position. You see how when you picked it up, it immediately came back. That means it was a little bit out front. So this is where I'm going to say your proportions are, you've got short leg, long torso, some decent arm length. So it allows you to start with a lower hip position, where someone is going to have to start with higher, which also is an indication of good mobility. I would like to see your hips come up just a little bit, kind of where they are now versus where you started in that almost squat position. So instead of touch and goes, you're going to hear me tell people this a lot. I want you to stop, rebrace, then lift, because it makes you start from dead stop every single time. Because your first rep for a lot of people when it comes to touch and goes, the first rep's the worst, because gravity resets you in position every single time. So stop, reset, rebrace. You see how your butt got super low there versus here when you're starting. Your first pull is actually the best position. So let's try and replicate that with stopping between every single rep. Next. Keep going. This is that side angle on deadlift was money. So you got a like a hammer strength type incline or bench. Yeah. I mean, this is all pretty good. We've got a proud chest, looks like good back tension. Just cruising through the reps. I'd like to see a little bit more control on the way down. To maintain that tension at the bottom so it doesn't get you that tension you tried to start on the first rep. It pulls you out of position. Because when you do go to say like a barbell, that will happen. Luckily, with a machine, you're kind of set in a track. You don't have choice on bar path. But yeah, strong press. Hit me with the next one. So a whole lot of body English here. You're almost in a vertical position with this row. Now, depending on the row variation, you have very strict rows, you have Yates rows, you have Penley rows. There's different types of ways to row a barbell, depending on the goal. But you're so upright that you're not getting the upper back load you necessarily want from a row. So a little bit of body English if it's like a cheetah row, whatever it's called. You'll see a lot of power lifters do a lot of leg drive for a heavy row, and that's to transition to carry over to their deadlift and their upper back strength to kind of get an overload. So, but they're not standing up that far. So if you're even with the body English, I want you to stay a little bit more closer to a 45-degree angle or lower, because you're kind of just getting a little bit of a squeeze and you're kind of rowing back versus really getting that upper back loaded, and controlling the weight a little bit more. A little bit more bar path towards your eyes, but overall, I like how I can see leg tension. I like the slight arch. Your body position's good. Just a little bit more towards your eyes. As you're fatiguing, you're actually naturally driving back up towards your eyes because your body's trying to find the horsepower. So that's a good indicator of where your bar path is and where it needs to be. But overall, your bench is very, you have full body tension. That's what I like to see. Push-ups. These are pretty good. Get a little bit lower by bringing your back up in line. It's going to feel harder. This is good push-up form for the most part.
Okay, thank you.
Like see their shoulders kind of break even with your elbow plane, but outside of that, these are great. RDLs, it says. Good deadlift form on the pick. All right, so we want less flexion in your lumbar. RDLs are very important. We want an exaggerated arch, hyperextension, if you will, because we want to target the hamstrings and the glutes. So I want to see more butt pushing back over the heels. You'll hear Catch and Adam say it, pushing the door shut behind you. RDLs, we want absolutely perfect. It's an assistance movement for the deadlift. Like this deadlift position was good, but we want more of a flat position in that lower lumbar. It's a very common thing if people think more range of motion, more range of motion. Your range of motion in RDL is right before your lumbar starts to curl. So every person, it's different depending on their mobility. I don't have a whole lot of mobility in my RDL because of where my deadlift is. So I would like to see maybe less ROM here and more perfect lumbar. Next one. So he's pulling up blocks because he's using smaller plates. So he's kind of setting it to what it would be closer. Might be a little high, but that's okay. He's getting it what it'd be closer to a normal deadlift height, it seems. So these look great. I love your back position. I love how the leg drive is working in conjunction with your glutes coming through. So a deadlift, a lot of people you see legs come up, then they finish with the back. If you look, this is all kind of happening at once. It looks like his hips are sliding through. So the goal of the deadlift is for your hips to basically slide through. So a deadlift is supposed to look like this with no change in hip elevation. And he's doing a really good job of that here. You could see a couple reps where he's trying to find that groove. But overall, this is great, man. I know Ray's been working on his squats. He went through a little rebuild. So we'll see what we're working with this week. Depth is better. Still have a little bit of a forward glide at the bottom, but you kind of worked it out a little bit better as the reps went. See how he kind of has a forward descent where his pushes forward a little bit. So Ray, keep a little bit conscious of that.
Okay.
And maintain that vertical butt coming down, right? So that pushing forward at the end is making your life a little bit harder.
Okay.
So the heel elevation seems to have helped with you getting down there. Your depth is night and day difference. Everything looks better. So now we're fine tuning a little bit.
Right.
We need to prevent that push forward from happening. So maybe when you do your squats over the next 2 weeks, I want you to have a box at depth. And I want you to imagine, I don't want you bouncing off the box. I want you going down and touching it like there's an egg on there and you don't want it to crack. With that same control you're showing here. Because what we don't want to do is you to hit the box and put you forward, but I want you to have that box at a distance that keeps your hips in the same position without that forward. So if you do come forward, you miss, and you know you miss, or versus where you stay in position and you feel that box kiss like where your hamstrings and glutes meet.
Okay.
So it gives you physical feedback. That's all that's doing, is just giving you a physical marker. And you can do this with tying a string across or setting a thin PVC pipe, something that's not super rigid, that has some flex. I'm there, okay, back up. That doesn't throw off your bar path.
Okay.
And
Great
Nick,
job, man. Your squats are looking better.
All
Sorry.
right. Thank you.
Just 5-minute warning, Nick. I think the Zoom might shut down after 2 hours, so I just want to make sure that we get as much as we can.
All right, next one. We're rapid fire coaching. Squats. Up, good walkout. Heels getting light. Again, you're not really pushing forward. I think part of it might be your footwear. They look real squishy. But keep coming back, sitting back, initiate the squat by breaking at the hips first, then descending. That'll get your weight to your heels. Hips up, posture looks great. Next. Stiff leg deadlift. So you're getting some leg drive out of the bottom. We want less leg input and more glute and hamstring. So decrease your range of motion, get more hamstring and more glute. Squeezing your butt coming through is going to be the key activator here. So go down less, decrease that range of motion, like I said, so you can create less leg input on the drive up. Next. Dumbbell press. These are good. Maybe not. Okay, this will be okay. That's not as drastic as I thought. I thought you were actually past plane. These are pretty good. You've got a really long press range of motion here, which is good. Stretch at the bottom. And you're kind of bringing them together at the top to get that good chest squeeze. These are great. These are great. I've got no quarrel here. Good job. Good control.
Is the incline correct on the bench? It's like 45.
It's an incline. That's all that matters.
But that's okay. All right. So it shouldn't be like further down to make it.
Now it's not too far up to where you're overhead pressing. You're kind of. I'm not a stickler for degrees. As long as you got some incline, you're hitting an incline press.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I think this was one of your questions. You were feeling it in your lats. Yeah, much better. You're not initiating it by pulling it down with your arms and your upper back first. I'm sure you felt this more in your core and less in your lats.
Yeah, I'm feeling it more in my obliques for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, because you're squeezing.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. That could just mean your obliques are a little bit weaker than your center mass. So you're feeling it in your core. That's all that matters.
Okay. Thank you.
Trap bar deads. Good. So that slight little dip and bend before you drive, when you speed that up, that turns into a jerk. So I want you to get tight and pull, we call it the slack. You're not really going to have slack in it. I want you to pull in tension by snapping the bar on either side and getting those lats tight. I don't want that slack because as it gets heavy, what that'll do is actually pull your brace out and it'll cause some folding. Luckily, it's light enough and you're strong enough that it wasn't doing that here, but that's what that could turn into on a heavier set. Your hip position's great. Everything's great, just that you're going to see it here on the first rep. That slight bend into the pool. We don't want any momentum that could cause us to pull us out, pitch us forward. That right there. So I want you to start, brace, pull in tension, then come off the floor.
Perfect. Thank you.
Good job, man.
All right. I think we're going to do one more form check, and then whoever's form that we didn't get to today, I'm just going to leave you in the box so that you can be a part of the next form checks. So we got Emily's deadlift here.
Get that bar closer. Already. Yep. Swung in as soon as she broke off the floor. It's because the bar's out front.
The red
Again,
weapons.
guys, I'm going to say this for everyone. I've got scars from dragging the bar up my shins. The closer that weight is to us, the better. So this means pushing our knees back, hips are going to come up, bar's going to come a little bit closer to your shins here. You're way out front. You see how the bar is in front of your shoulders. So that you're making the deadlift way harder. We need to bring that bar way in, up against your shins. Butt's going to come up slightly, but that's okay. This is a deadlift. It's not a squat. So that's going to give your hamstrings more of an opportunity to pull it off the floor.
Okay.
Make sense?
Okay, guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being a part of this. This will be on YouTube as soon as I am done with physical therapy. That's where I'm headed next. And if you guys did not get your form checks today, like I said, I'm going to keep those in the Dropbox so that you guys can be a part of the next form check. So don't worry.
I'll talk to the powers that be of seeing if we can get another one at the end of the week so I can finish these off.
Yeah.
You said my name, powers that be.
Yes. Yeah. Can I do another one at the end of the week to get to everyone that I didn't get to this week? And
Yeah, we'll figure out a time, you guys. Thank you all for being here. And if you have additional questions about nutrition, go back to today's post and you can ask them. We will be doing a lot more content related to the nutrition so that you can all get comfortable. And like everything else in the app, please give us your feedback because we are constantly iterating and evolving and making this stuff better. And your feedback makes the app what it is. I'm going to shut up now so that Noah can go to physical therapy, but it's great seeing all of you. I love seeing the faces here. I love this village. I appreciate all of you. Eat well, train hard, be happy, don't stress, and have a great day, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Take care for everything.
Please take care.